of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 3, the City of Sandy Oaks is sending their condolences to the family of Mary Catherine Rendall, and by way of letter of recognition. She passed away on September 20th, 2017, and received military honors during her funeral at Fort Sam Houston on October 6, 2017. In celebration of her life, a reception was given in honor at her home, where stories of her life were exchanged, which seemed rather appropriate since she had hosted a community book exchange and candidate meet and greets at her home. Mary Catherine Rendall was a good citizen. She regularly attended and participated in our city council meetings and supported transparency in government. Her eloquence in speech and clarity of thought will be sorely missed. Her family has been a pillar of our community for many years. Mary Catherine Rendall's father, John A. Jones, was the 10th person to buy a lot out here, specifically the one on which her and Don Hormachet's house is located. The city again expresses their deepest sympathy on the loss of their loved one. Item number 4 will be moved to a later time. We're waiting for someone. Charlotte, number 5, financial and budget report. The income and expenses will be reported by Clerk Charlotte Ray.
The beginning balance in the beginning of September was $419,141.35. Checks of $13,069.69. Deposits of $8,131.28. Uncleared checks of $1,449.14, leaving us with a balance of $412,753.80.
Thank you so much, Charlotte.
What was the balance?
Ending balance was $412,753.80.
Number 6, Number 6, consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussions of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. A, approval of the minutes for the regular City Council meeting September 17, 2017. B, approval of the minutes from the special City Council meeting September 28, 2017. C, approval for payment of invoice number 1145 from Casham and Ortiz PC for city attorney services not to exceed $6,514.60. D, approval of renewal annual insurance with Texas Municipal League for an amount not to exceed $1,125.
I move we accept the consent agenda in its entirety.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderman Fillinger that we accept the consent agenda in its entirety. And we have a second from Alderman Rapino that we accept the agenda in its entirety, the consent agenda. Do I have a show of hands to support this? Okay, so the motion passes unanimously to accept the consent agenda. We have unfinished business. Number 7, to discuss and or possible action on a resolution of the City Council on the City of Sandy Oaks adopting a city business plan created by Marcus Johns, consultant of the city. Anybody have any questions about the city plan, business plan?
Just one question. If where we put money in the budget.
That can be amended and items can be moved around if needed. If it exceeds the total budget amount, then the council would have to just declare an emergency, but otherwise, council can change the budget and move items line item to line item.
So still, what we've always done.
Yes. And I don't see any reason if the plan can be changed or amended at any time during this. I guess with the consultation, Mr. Johns with the council.
Although I appreciate all the time, effort, and money that's gone into the business plan, to implement it is gonna require a tremendous commitment of our finances. And I'm really concerned about that.
What part of it? Is it salaries or is there a part of it?
Well, the fact that we're going to commit all of our funds for the next year and all of our reserve funds, leaving us with essentially a zero balance. And by adopting this plan, we are currently committing ourselves to a tremendous increase in our local property tax for the next fiscal year. And I understand, property taxes are gonna have to increase. But, this year, a lot of us have faced property tax assessment increases, large property tax assessment increases. The other taxing agencies that, other than our city, that we all have to respond to, have in some cases made increases. And I'm just concerned, at what point are people gonna begin to choke? We need to develop the city, but to tell people, okay, we're gonna increase your local taxes by 50%, that's a pretty hard bite. That's my problem. As a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan, it would be a great plan, but to implement the entire thing at this present time is gonna take a tremendous commitment in finance.
So, Mr. John, can we look at some aspects of it and work on it still, or?
Well, I would think so. It's a great place to start with, but, making the commitment to, spend more money than we have in our pocket always makes me nervous.
I understand.
Thank you.
I totally understand. But the city put themselves in this position when they adopted a 25-cent tax rate. And it is what it is. I mean, the city is totally undercapitalized. And I struggled with this. Believe me, I spent a lot of time. And I understand that this is a big financial obligation and a big political obligation. I understand that. And maybe there's a way you can spread it out a little bit. The thing that needs to happen is the tax base needs to be expanded. You need to grow the tax base, but you're not gonna grow the tax base until you get a governmental structure that people know that works and gets the respect. I didn't fill out the survey information. The citizens filled out the survey information. They want all these services. Guess what? It costs money. Now, you could cut back the services, and what I suggest you do is we need to grow the base. You need to grow the tax base. I think there's opportunities for franchises. I think there's opportunity or sales tax. I think there's an opportunity to improve property tax appraisals by improving the properties. But that's gonna take a lot of effort. I think you can get in, you maybe can attract infill developers to come in here and build on some of the vacant lots. But you're gonna have to deal with the code compliance issues, you're gonna have to deal with the animal control issues, you're gonna have to provide law enforcement. It requires investment. But anyway, I just wanna say, I enjoyed working with you. And believe me, you can ask my wife, I struggled with this. I spent, you're getting a bargain for $10,000, you got about $50,000 worth of work.
I totally understand and fully appreciate the work.
And I know, you are up against a rock and a hard place. You really, really, truly are. And, you know, there may be ways to work to mitigate some of the pain, but it's gonna be a hard deal.
Well, yes, sir. Thank you very much.
But I'm not gonna say it. Next time you get one of these Liberty City lawyers come around, don't listen to them.
Exactly.
Many of us didn't, sir.
Any other comments, Alderman?
What's, where would you try to trim it if you were to do that?
Well, we have heard some, there's a possibility that we should look at it for reserve officers that may be able to serve here. We get some of the, I think in the budget, we're looking at $45,000 for a brand new shiny car. Our city is 2 square miles. We don't really need a brand new shiny car to patrol 2 square miles. Might be much better off to look at 2 second-hand shiny cars to patrol our 2 square miles. I'm just saying, you know, you live in the same city that I do, and there are lots of things that have to be done, but to spend all of our money and all of our reserves in 1 year just strikes me as being not good planning at all. I mean, it's taken us 3 years to build that reserve. And once we spend it, it's gone.
Money, sorry, I thought you were,
Excuse me. Money can only be spent once. So when we spend that money and it's gone and we run up on a problem, and believe me, the city has been very fortunate in the non-severity of problems that we've had. You know, then we're gonna have a special meeting, we're gonna be cutting this budget to fund this thing, and, it just doesn't seem good business to me to try to operate with no reserves. And as I say, if we pass this budget this year, we have committed to a 50% increase in local taxes. And, I know that compared with other places, that our taxes are unreasonably low. But I also know that the folks that formed this city were promised, we're doing this to avoid the high taxes. But, you know, that's my take on it. I'm thinking that, we really need to take a long, hard look. And we need to.
Because Sandra and I went to see Judge Ruben Tejeda, and he's helping us try and get an interlocal agreement, Bear County. So I don't know if that would be some savings. We're hoping, and then
But, you know, we're hoping, but
I don't know if we're in a position to actually invest and actually maintain at the same time.
yeah.
Isn't there some kind of requirement that we keep a certain amount of reserve funding?
We have it.
So whatever is reserved, I mean, keep things in a reserve fund, you can move around.
But is there,
That reserve is no longer, if the reserve is no longer needed.
Well, we have a reserve fund.
How much of a reserve do you think?
Yeah, master plan, we have a reserve fund. Operating funds reserves are $75,000. So operating, fund reserves are $75,000. We have a master plan reserve of $75,000. So we have, I mean, the new budget.
and, you know, not necessarily say that we don't have any, items right now that wouldn't be considered an emergency. I think that the roads and
Absolutely.
other things.
We could pass the plan without going ahead and acting on every action item.
But the city does need a plan.
Yeah.
Every city has a plan.
We can pass the plan without
Most of them
acting
call it a budget.
every action item or sort of.
Go ahead.
I can't hear you too well, but
Sorry.
the plan, with all of its recommendations, is estimated to cost $123,771. And as I recall, the reserve, unassigned reserve balance was like 269 or so. So you've still got some cushion in there. And that's the unassigned, doesn't include the money you set aside for other purposes like the comprehensive plan and all that stuff. No.
And
If you do nothing else, I think you need to hire a very good city clerk, and I talked to some people yesterday. Charlotte's excellent, if you could talk her into doing it. You need to hire an administrative city clerk to serve as the city clerk and administrator, so that you get something going, coordinate the activities, handle animal control,
And we have-
open city hall.
And we have excellent, we have excellent applications that have come in, resumes and things. It's just the process of the hiring.
We need to do something. We're just spinning our wheels every month.
Yep.
Absolutely true. As to adopting the plan, if we pass this resolution, the resolution reads, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, the City Council finds the statements made in preamble are true and correct. Section 2 of the planning attached to Exhibit A incorporated by reference is approved in its entirety. Section 3, the City Council hereby approves of the cost to execute the plan and authorizes the mayor to make expenditures necessary to implement the recommendations of the plan for the organization, management, and finances of the city's operation and projects as stated in the plan. Section 4, the city council vests with the mayor the responsibility and authority to implement the plan, keep the city council informed on the implementation of the plan, and that any needed adjustments will be presented to the council for consideration. Section 5, if any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, phrase, or word of the resolution or the application thereof to any person or circumstance held to be invalid or unconstitutional, such no one shall not affect the validity of the remaining pass such remaining portions despite the invalidity of the unconstitutionality. I have a real problem with saying we will adjust it and then say, but the mayor's gonna run it, and if anything has to change, she'll bring it to council. I'm terribly sorry, but as I sit here, I feel rather ignorant. We're expected to rule on RFPs and RFQs. Did you get a copy of any of the RFPs or RFQs?
Everybody got copies.
When?
Well, then, I think the same day you got yours, but nobody called back and said they were missing one.
We're talking this.
Yes.
Okay, these are responses to RFPs and RFQs.
Oh, you mean the original RFQs and RFPs?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't get it. You know,
So does anybody motion to put a hold on this?
we have a response to a request.
Right.
I don't know what the request was,
Okay, and I don't have a copy of it.
okay?
We can table this for the next one.
Yeah, some of them are included in the envelope.
I see in this case that the gentleman attached the original recommendation. The street repair,
Why are we talking about that?
Well, are we gonna implement the business plan?
We'll get to that in just a minute.
Yeah, because we have those
okay,
later on the
I just-
agenda
I'm just
items.
saying, I have a real problem with this.
We can table it till we have full council next time,
Well, I think we need to table, I think.
okay? I mean, we do need a business plan.
That's my opinion.
Is there some language that can be changed to make it more comfortable for this council members?
I was going to speak to this during my citizens to be heard. Yeah, you waved me off, Karen.
We're gonna do that in just a minute, thank
Well,
you.
maybe we should do it before the plan gets voted on. Better look for that gavel.
Gavel.
Gavel time.
Let's go ahead and stop. Can we do executive session?
Well, no, I mean,
No.
can we,
Executive
no,
session.
let's,
We can postpone this item till after the public hearing.
can we do that? Can we
That
postpone
gavel's
this
gotta be down
until
there
after
somewhere.
the citizens?
We postpone until after the public hearing?
Right, we can move it,
After we
okay.
hear the citizens speak.
Yeah, because we're gonna hear the citizens to speak right now.
We have begun discussion on this, we have to close it.
Exactly.
At this point, I move to postpone this item until after the public hearing.
After what public hearing?
Are we not gonna have?
Citizens to be heard.
Citizens to be heard.
Okay,
So
so,
that would be
Today.
that would be later tonight, or,
Yes, sir.
so we would come back to this later tonight?
Let's come back.
okay, so we have a motion from Alderman Fillinger to postpone, discussing the resolution for the city business plan until after we have citizens to be heard. Do I have a second? Okay. Alderman Thomasini seconds the motion. Do I have a show of hands to support that unanimously? Thank you. We are going to go to citizens to be heard in a public forum right now, and we have a special guest. We have Chief Salazar. He wanted to join us tonight. Chief, could you come up here? I think everybody knows who you are. He wanted to help here with the city of Sandy Oaks and just to let us know about his support for the city and what he might be able to help us with.
Y'all are doing great. I'll be back here. No, I'm just kidding. Hi, I'm Sheriff Javier Salazar. Just love the shirt, by the way. Look at that. Just wanted to come by and introduce myself and some of my staff. I've got Assistant Chief Dale Bennett back here in the back. I've got Sergeant. Sorry, Sergeant, help me out. Liz Gonzalez, and then a couple of folks from community policing, and then one of my patrol sergeants over here. We just kind of wanted to tell y'all what our game plan is of course to stay involved in the community. Community policing, what they specialize in is helping communities kind of act as a force multiplier. So if it's getting organized in your community that you're interested in doing, and maybe some cellular on patrol type stuff to augment what's being done by law enforcement, that's certainly something these folks back here can help with. I can open it up to questions or whatever it is that you're wanting me to do, Mayor.
Introduce yourself, please.
Can you discuss more about that program?
Sure, the Cellular Armed Patrol Program. It's a class that can be taught. Sergeant Gonzalez, can you come up and talk about the Cellular Armed Patrol Program?
So we have one coming up at our academy at 1460 Gillette, but we can also organize to come out here and teach a class for you. It's a neighborhood watch program. I have one deputy that teaches it, and he will tell you how to spot crime, what to look for, how to report it, and whatnot. And we will come out with Public Works and put signs up in your area that says COP, Cellular on Patrol, to deter crime. So if you're interested in that, I have some brochures in my vehicle. I can bring them in and we can talk more about that later.
This is Mickey Ball, she's the
Yeah.
liaison for our.
We already have a cellular on patrol.
Right,
We
we
have-
just haven't had a class.
We have
here
10
that we're
members
rolling out.
from our community that are
Okay, well,
signed up.
we've got another service also run through community policing that I can kind of catch up to speed on. It's something that we've really started branching out on. So we offer a service called a home security survey, where we've got deputies that we just put through a crime prevention school. They'll come out to your home and they'll do a survey of the home. And, basically, you need to change out this type of deadbolt to this other kind of deadbolt. You need to change out your screws in your doors, thumb screw locks, things like that. They'll go through and they'll help you harden the target, that is your home. They'll give you these tips. We fill out a form. We can send that off to your homeowner's insurance. Some of the insurance companies offer a discount for having this service done and having it signed off by a crime prevention deputy. It's a free service that we offer. And said our deputies are trained up. We've got a total of how many deputies trained up now? Like 15? 15 deputies trained up countywide. It's something that a lot of people haven't taken advantage of because it's brand new. So if that's something that appeals to y'all, we can certainly do that as well. But aside from that, we're out responding to your area as well for any routine calls for service.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes, ma'am.
Would I get in contact with you for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Wanted to find out, as far as our neighborhood goes, we're having issues trying to get a marshal to help us out in our neighborhood and our community. It's gone to hell in a handbasket like super, super quick because we don't have any control of our neighborhood. Thank y'all so much for doing everything that y'all do in our community. Sure.
Yes.
We do appreciate the presence. We have an app that's called Nextdoor, and we also communicate that way. We've also found out that there's this one particular group that is logged on to that as well. They're part of the crime committers. So we found out that they're on this app. So what we have done is sometimes when we see y'all patrol the area, we'll just send a little shout out and through the whole app for whoever is logged on there. We let everyone know, thank you so much, BCSO, for patrolling our area.
Sure.
We wish that there was more presence because we have a lot of speeders.
Okay.
We have a lot of stop sign runners. We have a lot of 18-wheelers that are hauling butt through our neighborhood. We have children in the morning who the grass is extremely tall on the corners, and these children have actually been in the street because there's no place for them to actually stand.
Okay.
But that's not for y'all to do.
Actually, it is.
But
Our
it concerns me, their safety.
Sure.
Right, so our section coordinates with other agencies or entities as well, like Public Works, fire marshals, and whatnot. We also do some directed patrol. If there's an ongoing issue that maybe patrol, because they're out responding to emergency calls and whatnot, hopping around in the district and passing by and whatnot. But if there's something that's a continuous problem, we definitely can come out and saturate and work on that problem. We also can utilize our traffic section. We have a DWI and traffic speeding grant right now, and we can direct them to come out and work here as well. And I actually have some deputies that do that in the side of my section. So I'll leave your liaison here with some information, and we can definitely address some of your concerns.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
We've
it.
actually got commercial vehicle enforcement as well that'll come out and deal with the 18-wheelers. So Sarge, if you can get in touch with the traffic and get the CMV guys out there, they'll take care of those 18-wheelers quickly.
Thank you.
Sure.
I definitely appreciate it because it is just ridiculous. On Waterwood Pass is used to be our main street for the subdivision. We only have one stop sign. I understand the safety concern for our EMS, for you guys that are trying to get to a call. do have a lot of speed bumps. It's a lot of wear and tear. It's really difficult for y'all to get to us quickly.
Sure.
So without the speed bumps, I got that. Without the stop signs, I got all that. But we only have one stop sign on one main street, but then on New Mathis, there's no stop signs. Thank God for the potholes, because that slows them down a little bit. I mean, but other than that, I mean, it's a racetrack.
What we will do is, what I'll do is I will get with your liaison and I'll send out a deputy from our unit just to do a general assessment. And then from there, we can work out some plans and see what we can do to address your concerns.
Perfect. Great, and we'd like to get on board with the group just to extend it, because I saw you just had a class that just, and I was telling Mickey, I said, oh,
On the
Lord.
4th, yeah.
We need to get a group together and get on that one.
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
are trying to keep an eye out on our neighborhood. You know, we're the eyes and the ears to help you guys out.
So if
Sure.
you need a refresher, or there's new members that want to join or whatnot, then we can coordinate and we'll do that.
Awesome.
Could you talk about the Citizens Academy for a moment?
Yeah, that's actually something we're pretty excited about. Brand new program, we just started it. We just had our first class graduate. It's a 13-week course.
13-week course.
13-week course, Tuesday nights from 6:30 to 9:30, if I'm not mistaken. You come out to the academy on Gillette Road, and well, that's where it's based out of. But you come out there, and every Tuesday night for those 13 weeks, you sit and you listen to presentations from different units within the agency. So this week maybe K-9 and the jail, and then the following week's dispatch and SWAT. But over the course of the 13 weeks, you'll get a bird's eye view of the entire agency and everything that we do. Part of it is a jail tour. Part of it involves a ride-along with patrol. You can also get a tour of the courthouse, which a lot of people don't realize we're responsible for security of the courthouse as well. You know, we get 3 million visitors through that thing every year, and it's basically a 24/7 operation just at the courthouse itself. And that's just one of the many things that we do. You're going to get a look at everything that we do, every facet of the sheriff's office, and you know, you'll also ride around in your area as part of the deal as well. It's a cool program. You can. What's the number that they call, Sarge? For the.
You can 861-4593.
Okay.
That's actually my cell phone number.
Okay.
And that way you have a point of contact and I can get you the information that you need for that. The class is very interactive, so it's a good course. It gives you a better in-depth understanding of what we do and how we can work together.
The next class starts in January, so we got some time. We didn't want to straddle the holidays, so we just graduated a class. We're starting a new one in January, like 10th, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Could you repeat that, Selma?
861-4593.
Yes, sir. You got a question?
Just real quick, I just want to echo what you
Sure.
said about Waterwood and one stop sign that's there. I think it's great, straight in the cul-de-sac. And I can go up to get my mail daily. I'm retired, I'm at home all day.
Yes, sir.
I can walk up at any given time and there's somebody running that stop sign. It's
Always.
constant speeders up and down. But we used to have a patrol, used to sit there, they would come regularly. I won't say that they were there every day, but it was a regular thing. They would sit there and they were always catching somebody, they were constantly getting somebody.
So what happens is we'll go out and we'll do that for a while, and then that will slow down and they'll catch on to us.
Right.
And then people are obeying the laws and the traffic laws, and then we'll go have to hit somewhere else. But that's a good thing that you bring that up. If we have to come out again, we'll definitely do that. And so we'll coordinate with you.
Okay.
I live in Waterwood Pass up further, east of where he's talking about, at Waterwood Pass and Hickory Shadow. And I'm the first property from the four-way stop sign there. And I have a year-old dog that wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, so I sit out there and have coffee in my sunroom. And there are people at 5 o'clock in the morning with no lights on running those stop signs. A couple of years ago, I sat there for a couple hours one morning and made a list of the people that were, how many people were speeding, running stop signs, rolling through the stop signs, and sent it to the former sheriff, and they had 2 motorcycle officers sitting there in plain sight, and these fools were still running the stop signs, speeding, and we're talking about doing 50, 60 miles an hour when it's 30 miles an hour.
Right.
Yes.
I do have another question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
There's some confusion, I think, in the community about the role of your office and all of your staff supporting our city when we have a marshal in place. Could you talk to kind of how that's going to work?
We're still responsible. And you know, We are responsible for the entire county, 1.8 million residents. I think traditionally, there's been a tendency to kind of concentrate on the donut around San Antonio. But as I see it, everybody here pays my salary, so why should I only be protecting 300,000? I need to be protecting everybody. So even after you get your town marshal, we're going to be in and out of there, and we'll be in radio contact with them, assisting them as needed. Just recently, county commissioners approved 10 new positions in April. I'm going to be getting 10 new positions. Those will actually be all community policing officers. For the most part, we may put some over on patrol side, but where they're big community policing officers. We're thankful in that our calls for service, we're actually on track to handle fewer calls for service this year than we did last year. So we checked the numbers, and our deputies are actually, we're not just sitting on our laurels, they're getting out, now since we're not answering so many calls for service, they're getting out and getting proactive, doing stuff like traffic, finding dope, finding guns. So I mean, we're out there doing what we need to be doing. You talk about working with cities. I mean, granted, this one's going to be a lot smaller than San Antonio is, right. But right now we're teaming up with the SAPD on the Violent Crimes Task Force out here on the east side, west side, some of the higher crime areas. Mm-hmm. And we just finished up an Operation FM78 Task Force, Sergeant Gonzalez's group, with Converse and Kirby. So, I mean, we're making a concerted effort to work more with the incorporated cities.
Right, and I believe just in that section, after we saturated, we teamed up with patrol deputies as well to go out there and directed patrol, coordinating that. We went out there on a weekly basis, and within a few months period, I believe the crime rate dropped with 30% more or less around that range, so.
Awesome.
It's a good thing. So I'll encourage you, I know you're welcome to use my number, but if you'll gather information and go through your liaison, that way she has all the information organized, and then we can work from there.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Sure thing. Let me just kind of commend you guys, if I'm allowed. This is, judging by the size of the city, what's the population of the city?
3,700.
I mean, judging by the size of that city, this is a pretty impressive sized group to have at a city council meeting. I know cities much larger that don't have this kind of a turnout, so keep that fire going. I mean, I like the discussion. There's good lively discussion going on. It's pretty impressive. But definitely keep that enthusiasm going, because it helps us with doing what we do.
Perfect.
So thank y'all.
Thank you.
So much for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Citizens to be heard. Ken Carding.
I'm here to tell y'all something that I've struggled with for about a year now. AT&T, when they put DSL in Waterwood, built a system that doesn't support the people. So for the last 2 months, I got tired of my wife really chewing on my back end, because she does a lot of things on her tablet. She'd be on it 15 minutes, kicked off, watch a movie, get kicked off again. Got nowhere with dealing with the mainframe people that answer the calls at the call center. So I finally wrote the CEO of AT&T. He called me on my cell phone. They sent the vice president for technical support, checked the system out and all the calls for the last year. They say they cannot support it as it is right now, but what you can do is call up there and complain, because the more complaints that they get, the sooner they'll put the fiber network in out here. Plus, they'll titrate your bill down. I told them exactly how long that I had problems with it, and they agreed with all the technicians who came out and stuff and couldn't fix what was wrong, that they will adjust your bill accordingly. So I don't know how many people have AT&T, but you need to make the call, because it's just not good for anybody.
Thank you so much. Jay Gillespie?
Yes, I got a couple things. First off, I think it's wonderful. I knew Mary Catherine Rendall. I think when you're doing a tribute to her, it would be nice, and I think Mary Catherine Rendall would agree, you might want to spell her name correctly. Next, I know that the newspaper of record is on the agenda. This is the Wilson County News. Costs 75 cents per issue. Right over here, public notices have all the different little cities things. There's Pleasanton, there's Forestville, which a lot of people in our city deal with businesses in this area. The Express News, $2 for an issue. And I guarantee you will find nothing in the Express News about our area. So when you're thinking of that, please consider even the cost to the citizen. If we're gonna, I get this every week. Even if there's none of our city notices, I look at it. I'd be paying more than double a week. The other thing, the business plan, the thing that concerns me most about that business plan is the fact that it's handing, once again, which Mrs. Tenguma tried to do before and it never happened, but it hands her all the power. In the past, we know the decision-making that has happened in the past. We had a disaster declared in our city because a tree was knocked down. We paid $100, the city paid $100 for her contractor to go out there and lift up a street sign, put it back on the post, and screw in a set screw. It's ridiculous. If we do have a real disaster, at $500 per tree is what was charged, we're in deep doo-doo. You talk about carryover, not having backup money, that could happen. The most that should have been done with that tree initially was to move it off to the side of the road so people could drive through, give it a couple of days, make some inquiries, find out what the best price was. Was it on private property? Is that where it's rooted? Then that property owner should have paid for it, not the city. And I'm through. So, gosh, got through that
Thank
kind
you
of
so
gallon.
much. Thank you so much. Priscilla Schmidt?
Yes, I was wanting to request that all minutes be put on the city website, not just some of them, but all of them. There's some missing, and we would like to see them as citizens. And the other thing is that I've never worked with you, Mayor, but it seems like it's a disaster in our neighborhood. And I would say that if it's too much to handle, pass it on to somebody else who can get our city up and running and going, because it's just slowly moving, and our neighborhood is falling apart fast. We've got squatters in the neighborhood and nobody cares, and speeders and holes and no park and no marshal, and all of our money is being spent, our taxes are going up, and we don't see anything happening.
Okay,
City
thank you.
services, yep, you're welcome.
David Tremblay?
I think I mentioned the last meeting, I asked the council for it to take a look at the business plan, try and do something with it so that we're not jumping into something that is not sustainable next year without a tax increase. And I appreciate Mr. John's work he did. My only concern is that I look at some of the items that are in there and see a lot of things that we can actually keep put off. I don't think folks, really looked at it and tweaked it. We're looking at it as a puzzle. I appreciate your concern on closure. I applaud you for standing up and putting your foot down and saying, wait a minute, we don't have to take this. And I use the same words the last time, just take bite. Let's look at what we need the marshal, yes. Do we need another vehicle? I don't know about that. Do we need the engineer? I think the important thing is get the marshal on board so we can start cleaning up our neighborhood, get somebody who can enforce code compliance, do code compliance. The animal control is an important thing. When we talk about, we did the survey, the people who answered the survey are sitting here. The majority of the folks in the city did not answer the survey. It's the folks that are sitting here. And I think we're voicing our concerns. You gotta look at these guys with businesses who are gonna look at this big tax increase next time around. They're trying to get their feet on the ground, trying to get their stuff built up. Once they get going, you're gonna have that tax base coming off of how many businesses he's gonna have out here, 6, 8 businesses, and he plans on building another 6 or 8. So we gotta look at this and take, I don't say baby steps, but let's not take one big giant step for mankind in Sandy Oaks. Let's really look at this thing and do what needs to be done and not what we think everybody wants, because it's not what everybody wants. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to skip down to item 10. We're going to go into executive session to discuss. I have a sermon.
We were gonna do 7 after
I thought
the,
we were gonna go back to our business plan. I guess you can't, that's what you said. Yeah, we were up at number 7 and 8.
Do y'all have 11 for sauce?
You skipping over everything else?
11 is the.
Yes, ma'am, but the, point of order, ma'am, the previous, we opened, discussion on item number 7. We tabled it for the public input.
All right, let's go back to that then. Number 7,
We need to return and complete that item before we move on.
and you check it. Okay, number 7, we're going back to discuss for possible action on a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks adopting a business plan created by Marcus Johns.
Okay. If I may speak, Mayor, sections 3 and 4 of the resolution, truly, utterly, and absolutely concern me. In that, the form of government we have is the city council plans and approves, and the mayor implements. And section 3 and 4 tend to take the city council out of that equation when we're authorizing you to, we approve the cost to execute the plan, authorize the mayor to make expenditures necessary to implement the recommendations of the plan. For organization, management, and finance, the city's operation projects as stated in the plan. Section 4, city council vests with the mayor the responsibility and authority to implement the plan, keep the city council informed on the implementation of the plan, and that any unneeded adjustments will be presented to the city council for consideration. I feel council should be much more involved in the implementation of this plan, rather than being told later that we've taken step 4A or step 5A, and we need to refinance step 5C.
Amen.
I think we are ignoring our responsibilities to our constituency to accept this as section 3 and section 4 are written.
I don't see anything wrong with approving the plan, but I agree with Charles that we need to reword 3 and 4 or change them so that the council has more control over what gets implemented and what doesn't at what time. So I think it would be easy to reword these a little bit. I can't hear.
Yeah, you could just say the city council hereby approves the
Approved,
cost
yeah, that's what I
to
wrote
execute
down.
the plan and authorizes, instead of the mayor, you could just replace it with the city council.
Right, exactly. And that way, we would all consider any action that needs to be taken. It would also enable us to slow the process down so that we didn't overextend ourselves. If we saw that we were, going to be short in any area, we could slow down a little bit. But I can't help but get frustrated because we seem to come here every month and get nowhere. And I think we need to.
So the city council will be sharing in the responsibilities, making those, approving those changes. Right, it's just not the mayor, but it's the whole council.
Yeah, and we,
They will make the
like I said, we
decision.
can change the wording of this, if
Cassandra?
everybody agrees.
You can just, and authorizes the expenditures, and you just authorize the expenditures
You wouldn't put mayor, you put just to authorize expenditures.
City council.
So the reading of section 3, then would be city council hereby approves the cost to execute the plan and authorizes expenditures necessary to recommend the recommendation plan for the organization management finance city's operation. So we're striking the mayor to, the mayor to make, is that where we're at?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Okay.
You certainly can recommend, but the council has to approve.
I always enjoy sharing responsibilities. I'd love for you all to
Since when?
Okay, and number 4, section 4. All right, the city council vests the responsibility authorization to implement the plan.
You would just take out the mayor again?
Yep.
Or actually,
The city
we'd have to
council.
take out more than that.
With the mayor?
Yeah. Well, actually, we'd have to probably have to take out best with the mayor,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
The city council
This, the
hereby has
responsibility.
responsibility as a whole.
City council accepts responsibility and authority to implement the plan.
Yes.
We can strike that, keep city council informed on the implementation of the plan.
The mayor's responsibility to move the plan forward, not necessarily approve, every action that needs to be implemented.
Well, there has to be some kind of administrative
They'll
duties.
tell you what to do.
I mean,
the plan.
Because you can approve it, but then you need an administrative person to actually execute it. Suggestions?
you're the executive, we're the legislature.
Okay. Without being personally insulted, ma'am, you have taken 1 or 2 steps.
We can't hear you.
We can't
Can you
hear.
speak up, please?
I really didn't want to say it.
But you did.
Say it out of yourself, just say it.
Yeah, so basically, we're discussing item 8 and 3
Seven.
section.
7. Item 7. Squirrel.
Oh, the contract, okay. Okay, all right, yes, that's exactly right. So, did we discuss item 8 already, or just wait?
Villager had something
Yeah,
to
we
say.
still have to do.
We need, I need to hear some final words on section 4 before we do any other movement.
The city council vests the responsibility and authority to implement the plan and keep the council informed on the implementation of the plan, and that may, and any needed adjustments will be presented to the city council for consideration. So then who's gonna implement, so we're gonna have an administrator implement the plan? Since we struck the mayor, somebody has to implement the plan. I mean, somebody, once you approve it and everything, somebody has to oversee all
Local
these.
authority rests with the executive, but the approval needs to come from the city council.
So it's just a given.
You can recommend and then, say, okay, we need to do this and this is what, it's going to cost, or this is the way we need to do it. And we discuss it and we say, yeah, that's a good idea, or we need to adjust it, this and that, and we vote on it, just like we do anything else.
And the council will designate the mayor.
Section 4 seems to me to be carte blanche. We accept it and you implement it, and then you're gonna report to us. I think we should discuss implementation.
So it'd be, and the mayor should keep the city council informed?
Yes, ma'am, but we the city council should be informed prior to implementation, not de facto information after it's
Yeah, just don't spend it, just leave that as very tell us.
Item 8 is actually a consideration proposal by Mr. Johns to implement the business plan, so that may be an option where the wording in section 4 may be changed to
continue.
Ordinance make changes 2017 for the budget, and I'm not having a real problem with that. I'm having a problem with carte blanche to the mayor to implement the entire program and inform us afterwards, which is the way that this is written.
So he wants to reverse the order and then.
Okay,
It's coming.
Item 7, section 4.
Yeah, we all have the same copy. Cassandra. Oh. Yeah, this is the one from the website and the one it posted up. No, you didn't print it. I got it. Well, the one that is on the website and also on the gate has the business plan is 7, and then also on 8, it has a contract.
You
Marcus
must have
Johnson.
changed it after it was done.
Yeah, I must have changed it.
So what?
No, you
what-
have it on the
how is
website,
it-
don't you?
Your handouts tonight.
She don't know.
So how does the posted?
Number 8.
I'm trying to pull the wrong
So the
side.
posted one for, we have for 8, the
Well,
ones that we're
number
handing out.
7.
Yeah, the 7 is fine.
Well, that's the one we're doing.
Well, the one, that's not the one that's posted. Right. So the ones printed don't have our contract that we have tonight, but we have it on internet, and we have it on, it's posted, so we're going with the posted.
Yeah, we go to the one that's posted, that's what
Yes.
I'm asking.
So, yes. So it was just an error in printing.
Aaron.
I didn't do printing. The version that got printed does not include 8, which is an additional change at the very end before I went ahead and,
Okay, so the
The lawyer-
copies that are dispersed tonight are also not the correct copies.
are you talking about the ordinances
The ones
resolutions?
that I printed tonight are not the ones that she posted on the gate.
She printed from the
Move we adjourn.
She wants to go with the one that was posted on the gate.
Are you leaving?
Move
Mr.
the
Bud?
table prior motion now.
Okay, so we have a motion to table number 7 on the city business plan. Do we have?
Well, what is it, number 7? Posted, and you said, what is it?
It's a city business plan, the one we're talking about with Marcus John. So I have a motion to table item number 7 about the city business plan, adopting the city business plan from our consultant. Do I have a second?
Why do we?
Well, okay,
With
so
no
you want to
second,
continue?
so rule that continue.
Okay, so we don't have,
But as a point
second.
of order, ma'am, we can't work up an agenda and then another agenda posted. Yes.
Exactly.
And because we don't have a true and correct agenda as posted, I move we adjourn. And call a special meeting to come back when we have a true and legal copy of the posted. agenda.
everybody received that copy electronically, but you don't have it in front of you to work with.
Not everybody
Don't
has
have it in front
computers.
of us.
Yes. It's on the website. So-
Not everybody has computers. Don't put it on the table. You supply that copy.
Take it up at the table, don't have a true and correct
The
copy.
website's down? Yeah.
And the
Of course it
website's
is.
down.
Does somebody second? Okay, okay.
Yay.
Alderman Fillinger, motions to adjourn, and Alderman Rupino, motions to, second the motion to adjourn. Do I have a show of hands to adjourn for tonight so we get that paperwork straight? majority rules to adjourn, and 1 against. Thomasini, thank you for coming.
Another spectacular